So, Spirit has led me to open up a portal of doing video journals on here. And, well, Spirit has been just waking me up, telling me, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I think it's because I'm really centered back in a creative flow again, in a more receptive flow with Spirit again. Um, so because I've turned the phone on, basically, Spirit's like, oh my God, I have so much to tell you. This is what we're working on together. So that's where the myth and medicine videos came from, and the tarot psychology videos and all that stuff. But doing a video journal, opening up the portal for video journaling is something they have also told me to do. And I like it, but you know, it can be a little uncomfortable just talking about yourself, and just putting those things out there. So bear with my awkwardness. Um, but I believe that there's power in vulnerability, and I get to see it all the time with other people, both as a professional and just as a friend and a sister and a person. So I think it's also important that people see my humanness as well. I've had way too many times, just as a professional, people, kind of have put me on this weird pedestal before, or think that I don't have personal issues, or that I've just overcome everything, or that I'm super smart and wise. And I've had to tell them, like, well, I'm wise because I've been foolish first. It's not like it just came out there, Yes, are there some things that we all possess and that, we're just born kind of knowing or being good at or whatever? Absolutely. But I don't want to project this image of I know everything and I have figured it all out, because I certainly have not. But I do like to share. I'm a sharer. I'm an encourager. I'm a very, very much a cheerleader for people. I'm very much about growth and encouraging enthusiasm and truth and authenticity in people, and I expect the same out of myself. Um, so I was told to start doing these vlogs too, so that you can also just see that I'm just a person. I'm a person who's very passionate, very emotional. I have very deep emotions. A lot of thoughts. I'm very much a hermit. I spend a lot of time in my own in contemplation and quiet. So much so that even my father said I should have been a contemplative nun, and I'm like, maybe I was in a past life. Who knows? So, but I'm just a person, and I want you to see the person too. And I don't know what I'm gonna share on here. I have something I want to share on here today, but I don't know where I'm gonna go from there. I might share some of my journey into motherhood, because that's something that's super miraculous and a little scary at times, but also exciting and all that good stuff. Might share some dreams I have with y'all, um, and whatever else just comes to my heart, because I want you to just see me as a person and know that you can share yourself as a person here too. This is definitely a space in my little corner of the internet that you can just be you, because that's all I want you to do. And if you're having trouble with that, I want to help you with that. Okay, so I was guided to share because I said earlier how I've come back online, right? And what do I mean by that? I went through a period. It started back in May, when I started really disconnecting from certain people that I was feeling for a while I needed to, but wasn't listening to those nudges. These were people in the spiritual community, and people I really respected and still love them. Still no hate, no animosity, and not even going to give any names, so don't ask. If there are those of you who are watching who live near me and you're local, do not ask, because I'm not going to tell you. That's just it's not necessary. Um, but I was feeling for a while that this needed to happen because I was getting just really weird vibes and just feeling like there was a disconnect happening for a multitude of reasons, and just felt like they were not going in a direction that was resonant with where I was going. And it was actually like conflicting a lot with a lot of things. Hold on, let me just adjust this camera. So I'm about 7 months pregnant, and trying to get comfortable sometimes it's a feat. So I'm trying to adjust my seating and my legs and my camera all at the same time so that I can sit comfortably and talk to y'all. But yeah, so having had these experiences, really did something to my mind and my heart and my soul. But I've learned a pattern here, which I'm going to get to at some point here in this video. And that learning that pattern and doing a lot of meditation with God and the source, just the source, not religion, not any of that, the source, spirit, the spirit, okay, helped me figure out that pattern and come back to the things I love, okay, even more authentically than ever before and more peacefully. Because I've had a lot of people try to feel like they could take God out of me. And because I put them on a pedestal and I trusted them, whether it was family or it was really close friends, I, of course, believed them at certain points about certain things, like, oh, you shouldn't do this, or oh, you should do that. And because I'm a person of integrity, I'm not perfect, but I'm someone who doesn't go out to hurt people, okay? That I can honestly say about myself. Everything I do is with the intention of learning, growing, sharing, teaching, helping. I've been that way since I was a little kid. I've always been a helper, a figure-outer, and I've always had it where I didn't want to do anything wrong. Not like not make a mistake. I mean, like, I genuinely don't want to hurt nobody. Okay? So I've had people many times throughout my life try to make me feel like there was something wrong with me. And somewhere in my psyche, I still believed that. I was very hard on myself. Or I would believe that I was a bad friend, or I would believe I was a bad kid, or I would believe I was not godly enough, or whatever, when really I was seeking God the whole time. I was connected to God the whole time, whether I was a practicing Catholic going to church, or I was sitting out in meditation under a tree, okay? And I saw some things in the spiritual community, though, the last 2 years that really affected me negatively and led me down some paths to making decisions that were not in authenticity with who I was. And I started letting that energy affect me, Didn't realize it, though, until I started pulling away. I actually had a trip to the hospital because I had a mental break from just various things, which I now also realize was partially spiritual attack because I was not hanging around the right energy also. Okay. And pulling away, this was last August, pulling away really helped me to calm down my nervous system a little bit and start discerning better, getting back my discernment, because I've always had a really keen intuition and a good sharp sense of things, but I've let people in the past convince me that I wasn't perceiving those things, right? And that was like my chink in my armor, my weak spot, my Achilles heel. It was like, okay, maybe I am perceiving this wrong. Because I'm not arrogant, okay? Like, I can be wrong about things. And so I would constantly let these people in my life, whether it be family or friends or whatever, even past partners, gaslight me. and make me feel like, well, maybe it's a you thing. Maybe it's constantly a you thing. And that's fair, because we all are participants in our reality, absolutely. But I would let them convince me that my first instinct was wrong when it was actually correct. Because I would then go in my own head and be like, okay, well, maybe I am looking at this person wrong. Maybe it is me. Maybe it's trust issues I have me. So I would constantly work on those things, but I'd still feel certain things about these people. Or I'd still feel certain things about certain things that were said, certain things that were done, and I would address it and still be told it's nothing. And I was like, okay. But pulling away started making me realize, okay, there's something really not right. And I did so with compassion. Didn't just disconnect from these people right away. I loved them. But I started developing my own personal, real truth again. And when I started doing that, I started noticing shifts in the people I was around. And it wasn't until this year that I started even being shown more and more. And God was really showing me, like, no, you really do see this. Here, I'm going to show you. No, you really do see this. Here, I'm going to show you. Be still and listen. And when I started noticing certain things, I started pulling away even more and being like, okay, what's going on? And my biggest problem, though, was that I started thinking, oh my God, what if I'm acting like them too? What if I'm associating with the wrong people because I'm bad, or I'm doing bad things, or I'm evil, or, like doing tarot is evil, and, being a metaphysical practitioner is evil because look at what these people are doing and how they're perceiving things and how they're talking about people and the kind of spirits they're working with, and I'm just trying to help them and they don't want to listen, but what if it's me? Like, I started going into this spiral in my head. And so I literally threw out all my metaphysical books. I threw out all my tarot cards. I threw out everything that just resembled that world, And because I was like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to invite evil in my house. I don't want to be evil. I don't want to do any of this, because that wasn't my intention in the first place. And so for the last few months, I kind of just disconnected from it. Reconnecting still strongly with God. Realizing now I've never been disconnected from God, because nobody can take God away from you. And nobody can tell you who you are in God. Whether they're a Catholic, a Jew, a pagan, a New Ager, whatever. Nobody can tell you your identity in God. Nobody. And I learned the pattern because this was the same pattern that made me leave church when I was a teenager and had me have a lot of ups and downs with spirituality and just community in general. Was that I ended up drawing myself to a lot of people that resembled similar patterns of trauma that I've been through. And I allowed that disappointment, that disillusionment, to then make me feel like, well, I don't want to be like them, and I don't want to be like that. And it put fear in me. And I would just throw everything away. When I left church when I was a teenager, excuse me. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, I just needed some water. When I left church as a teenager, it wasn't because I hated church. I never have. Never will. It was because I was disappointed by the people. And when my family went through something really, really hard, we had a family member go through spiritual attack. That's all I'm going to say for right now. I witnessed some very horrific things go on with my family member. And when we went to them for help, multiple churches, might I add, some of them laughed at us. Some of them just turned us away. Some of them told us it wasn't real. When it was very real, let me just tell you, the experiences were very real. Okay. And I always loved church because that was one of those places where I felt safe, and it was a reprieve from a lot of stressful things going on in my own home. So I always looked at the church as a place of refuge and that you could go to those people in times of need. And so when the very people I thought were there to protect us, to help serve us, and be there for us spiritually, quite literally mocked us, it did something to me. And because I was a teenager, right? And I felt very alone, you know? And I just walked away. I said, I don't want to be a part of a community that does this. Because that's not what, no. I'm trying to help my family the best I can as a teenager, and I'm trying to go through every option that we can to help. And I don't want to be a part of a community that does this to other people. And I walked away. And that was ultimately what led, though, to my spiritual exploration. So it was a kind of a blessing in disguise, And I've already worked through all the angst that I had towards the church. I've been over that. I still notice that in the New Age community, in the witchy community, the pagan community, all that stuff. We're still, like, so many people are still hating on churchgoers and Christians, and it's just like you're being exactly like what you despise. How are you preaching love and light, but then the minute somebody mentions God or mentions that they're a Christian, you're going to be hateful, or you're going to have some kind of weird angst or animosity, or you want to gossip about them because they talk about God. Come on. I don't want to be a part of that. And I noticed that in the New Age, spiritual, metaphysical, whatever you want to name it, witchy community as I grew, is that there's a lot of that in there too. And a lot of recklessness that disturbed me after a while. Because here I was thinking that my practices were a little too rigid for some people. When I would, speak of having discipline or not messing with certain things they were messing with, and I would be told, oh, you have a fear, you have a block, you have this. And I would take it into consideration because I'd be like, okay, maybe you're right because you're someone I trust. Now in retrospect, I'm realizing, like, no, you're connected with the wrong spirits. You're speaking with things very recklessly. And you're giving advice from that place, and that's really dangerous. And I started noticing that the more I pulled away, the more I started listening to my soul again and listening to how God spoke through me and listened to my guides, listened to my ancestors, listened to my heart, rather than putting these people on the pedestal that I did because I trusted them. But for a while there, like I said, I really let my fear of, oh, I don't want to be a part of a community that does this either, I let that get to me. And I'm doing this video because I know some people might be confused because I know I said I was just giving up everything. I threw out everything. I said, I'm not doing readings anymore. I'm not doing any of this. I'm not doing Reiki. I'm not doing this, And it was a much needed detox for me for a little bit because I needed to just purge a lot of hurt and get my own mind and heart straight on who I really was in God consciousness. And I realized that, none of those things are bad. And you may think they are, and that's fine. None of those things are bad, but you know what? There have been a lot of inverted teachings on them, even Reiki. Okay? There's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you Reiki is evil because you're opening up portals to energy that you know nothing about, and yada, yada, yada. Now, that's true. I teach Reiki. I'll actually be doing lessons in Reiki on here for you. Not attunements. That will be something you have to book with me privately to do. Which that'll just be donation based. Please, I'm not going to charge you like thousands of dollars to get a Reiki attunement. Okay? It's ridiculous. But I will be teaching the lessons on here. Reiki is one of those things. Any of these tools, right? There's goodness in them. Okay? They were not forbidden, as in you can't learn them. Okay? They were meant for us to learn on our own. And when the fallen angels came here and started teaching people and just cramming us with all this information we weren't ready for, that's what caused a lot of damage. And people started taking it to very dark places because they weren't ready for it. But it wasn't that we weren't meant to learn it. We were meant to find it on our own in our own time, with patience, with discipline, with dedication. Okay? But things in this community have gotten very reckless, and I started noticing that. And a lot of these teachings become very inverted, Reiki especially. Okay? People claiming that they could just attune people in their sleep. No, you can't. Okay? And attunement happens through the source, not you. You don't have that authority to do that. And if something is doing that to someone, it's doing it without their consent, and that is dangerous because an attunement can do so much. It can open so much in somebody. And if they're not ready for it, that's dangerous. That is of a demonic or intranquil energy. Okay? That's a delusion. And if you disagree, that's fine. Just check yourself, because karma's real. Okay? Tarot, again, nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of story in it. There's a lot of psychology in it. There is a lot of archetypal medicine in tarot. But if you actually look at the history, Aleister Crowley, the opportunist that he was, also inverted that as well. There's a lot of darkness that went into it because certain people used it as an opportunity to enforce power over people. Okay? And I could just go on and on and on and on. Be aware of the inverted teachings. Use your discernment with what people are saying in this community, in all spiritual communities. Okay? Be aware when you get a weird feeling about when someone's saying something. Because that's telling you, like, no, there's something about that teaching that's not right. Okay? Be aware when even you have people in your own family, your friends, your spiritual advisors, if they tell you, oh, I'm picking up on X, Y, and Z, take it. But don't take it to heart just yet. Take it to God. Take it to your soul. That's what I had to learn. And once I started really learning that, that's been helping me a lot. You know? Because I had somebody tell me this was the icing on the cake that made me feel like, okay, I have to cut away from this person, and several other people actually, because I started having things revealed to me that I thought I was crazy about, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I had this person who I cared about very much and told me that I had an attachment. Now that's a spiritual attachment, a negative attachment, which we all come across that, okay? That's impossible in this world, especially. And I've had things that have attached to me, and when people have told me or I've felt it, I've cleared it off. Again, not arrogant. I've been through this before. I've cleared things off, or I've had to have people clear things off of me. So it's not that I was opposed to someone telling me, right? But when this person told me this, something about it felt really, really off this time. And I was like, I sat with it. I was like, I have to sit with it for the day and I'll let you know what I feel. Because this person was like, referring me to someone to get it cleared and yada yada and all that stuff. And I was like, okay. I was like, let me sit with that. I was like, because I don't know how I feel about that. That should have been my indicator right away, because usually I get an immediate yes or no on things. I just do. But when I get that weird in between feeling, that's when I'm like, I need to sit with this first, and you need to give me some time. And so I took the day and I prayed on it and I sat with it, and I was like, I got back to him. I was like, no, I think you're wrong. I was like, I think something's interfering, and I think you're speaking to a spirit that's not what you think it is. And I was like, and I think it tried to throw me off. And I was like, and I'm not letting that happen, because I don't think that's what that is. And this person was like, okay, well, it's for your spiritual growth and I'm just trying to help. And I'm like, okay, well, I still grew because I chose to discern rather than just believe what you're saying. And then we let it go. And I felt a very weird energy from that point on, and, started realizing, you know what, I don't think we're going in the same direction. And I cut them off. Only to shortly find out after the fact that I was pregnant. So that freaked me out because I realized, oh my gosh, this person doesn't even realize they were probably sensing my son. And if I had gone and gotten this procedure done, what if I had lost my baby? I got that message, like that could have affected your pregnancy. And that was like, whoa. Oh, hell no. Because the amount of years I've wanted this baby, thinking I could never have a baby, and now to have a baby, you're not taken that way. Mm-mm. No, no, sir, no, ma'am, no. So that was confirmation, though, that listening to myself, listening to my soul was crucial. And I've done a lot of that soul searching over these last few months that I've been away from just the community and just, taking that break and enjoying my pregnancy. I've felt a lot more peace now since I've disconnected from a lot of people since then. And because of that, I realized what really matters. I've realized a lot of truths, to not let other people affect my spirituality the way I have in the past, to not let people dictate my discernment or try to override God's influence in my life. Because we're human. We have our stuff. I know what my stuff is. I'm not delusional about it. And I've realized that pattern. There's a lot of things about me there's a lot of things that make me happy. And I've had a pattern of just like a lot of very jealous energy around me. And I don't understand why, because I'm not out here trying to act like I know everything. I'm not out here trying to lord my information over people. In fact, I've shared a lot of my information for free with people, and because I don't believe I own it. I believe that I'm here to channel it, and I believe that I'm here to share it, because I could die tomorrow, okay? And I want that information to be available to people. I don't believe that I'm a queen of it, or that I covet it and it's mine. It's not mine. It comes from source and it goes through me and I get to share it with people. And I let a lot of that jealousy and just that weirdness and all that stuff affect me and make me feel like I was being attacked and that I had to hide and then I realized, well, that's the plan, right? That's the plan of these adversarial energies. They want you to feel like you have to hide. And I'm not hiding anymore. I'm done. Whether you're a Christian, a pagan, a Jew, a Buddhist, and you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm just asking you to respect me because I respect you. And I'm asking you to try to understand who I am, where I come from, rather than just project an image of who I am based on something I believe that just doesn't jive with you. And if you can't do that, that's fine. Just walk away. Because I'm not going to force you to look at things the way I do. I'm not going to force you to like the things I talk about on this channel. I'm not forcing you to do that. These are messages that are for people who are meant to see them, who need support, who want a friend, and that's okay. We don't have to be friends. We don't have to agree. But we also don't have to be hateful. And we also don't have to be on the attack, on the verge of the defense all the time. Because we're all just souls and spirits and we're growing here. And I've granted myself a lot of grace for things I've done. And I do that for others, and I just want the same in return, So I know this was probably all over the place because, again, this is new for me, so I hope some of it made sense. But that's where I'm at now. I'm back. I feel a lot more empowered in a lot of ways. I feel a lot more enlightened in a lot of ways. A lot more clear about what I do and what I believe, even more so now than ever, especially when I've realized some things in speaking with God and speaking with Spirit and understanding how a lot of the teachings I even grew up with and a lot of the ideologies that I hung out around were not good for me to be around because they actually conflicted with a lot of truth that I already felt in my soul. And getting through and sifting through all that has been really, really helpful. And I couldn't have done it without my husband. I couldn't have done it without several people, and you know who you are, who kept me grounded and kept me in that loving frequency. They never forced me to do anything. None of them ever tried to influence me or sway me away from where I was at. They just held that space for me and prayed for me and were there for me, you know? And I couldn't have done it without them. So choose your community wisely. You know, it's maybe the theme of this vlog for today is, you know, choose your community wisely. Make sure your community is uplifting you, encouraging you, straightforward with you, you know, actually truthful with you, not just coming from a place of their idea of what the truth is. Because those are the people that are influencing your spiritual path. Those people keep you in alignment with God or they pull you away. You'll never lose God. Never. But you can stray. And your community and who you surround yourself with has a lot to do with that. Community is important. Togetherness is important. Just make sure that the people you surround yourself with keep you together, you know? So, thank you for letting me talk. Thank you for whoever listens to this for holding space for me to talk this long. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for being there. And if you have any feedback or you want to share anything from your own experience or you have anything personal you want to just share with me and tell me, please comment. I'd love to hear from you. Love y'all.